in our headquarters tonight. We have the Governor's Office of Homeland Security. We have our State Representative Garofalo. We have Councilmember Lewis, Councilmember Gillis McCluskey. We talked to our congressmen. We talked to all of our senators, and the citizens of St. Bernard Parish will have the resources needed to recover, just like we did back in March. I had a nice conversation with our governor, and we are ready to provide the resources to make sure our citizens get back up and going. With that said, Sheriff Jimmy Pullman.
Thank you, President McGinnis. Shortly after 4 p.m. this afternoon, we had a confirmed touchdown of a tornado in Arabi. It came in nearly where the one came in earlier this year, right on Mealy Street in the river. It kind of went through a northeasterly path. Probably it could be upwards of 2 miles of destruction. There's no reports of any major injuries, no reports of any deaths at this point, only minor injuries. Our Sheriff's Office and firefighters are still out in the field conducting their search and rescue efforts. But right now we have no reported injuries, at least major injuries. Now, we have Judge Perez is currently open both in east and westbound. St. Bernard Highway is closed eastbound. St. Bernard Highway is closed eastbound, but it is open westbound. Now, right now, there's no power from Norton to the parish line, so we strongly recommend that most of those areas have been affected by the storm, that we don't want anybody that doesn't have any business in that area to be in that area. Okay, let me say that again. We don't want anybody in that area that don't belong in that area. Currently, it's a very active scene that we're currently working right now, and we don't need to have anybody sightseeing in there causing any problems. There's no power, again, from Norton all the way to the parish line. We have the Sheriff's Office out there throughout the night, patrolling the affected areas and the areas that do not have power throughout the night. So again, if you don't belong back in those areas, stay out of those areas. Okay?
Thank you, Sheriff. So it's going to be a long night. Tomorrow morning we will complete an assessment, and we'll have some numbers for you guys and for the community of the number of homes that were damaged. From what we can tell, as of right now, it looks like a bunch of roofs on homes. We don't know a number, but it's not as significant as it was last time. So we're thankful at this time we don't have anyone that is injured or went to a hospital. But if someone is in need tonight, first, think about calling 911. If it's a non-emergency, call 271-2501. And we will be there to assist. But I just want to let the citizens know that we're going to be at it tomorrow, cleaning up. If you're going to see crews in the street, we will have a right of entry form for you to sign. And we're going to get you cleaned up and ready to go as soon as possible. So I want to thank our Sheriff's Department, our firefighters for what they're doing tonight. Entergy crews that are already out there, they're going to have us up and going tonight. I want to thank all of our state officials and federal officials for their concern and for the resources that they committed to this tonight. We got to remember that we have a lot of issues around the state. We're not the only ones hit with the tornado tonight, so our thoughts and prayers are with all of them. And we hope everybody, and we hope everyone gets through this like I know we will. So at this time, Sheriff, we're willing to take some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
John, how many structures have you seen that are totally destroyed?
At this time, Rob, we don't have any that are totally destroyed. And that's why I said it looks like a bunch of rooftops.
Rooftops completely blown off or shingle damage?
Mostly shingle damage. I think we have a few that were blown off in the Arabi area. I believe we saw one that our firefighters and our Sheriff's Department rescued 2 people out of a home. So we've rescued approximately 10 people tonight. So that tells me we might have some rooftops off, but I don't have any specific information. That tornado came over probably around the Mealy area, across the river, came east over Friscoville to Center Street, over the railroad tracks, and then turned north. Looks like it went just west of Norton and hit Carolyn Park and went up and got out of here. So, but it doesn't look like we have any totally damaged structures at this time. It just went west of the hospital, so our hospital is fine. No schools were in that zone. So looks like we got a pretty good handle of the neighborhoods and what's going on there with our sheriff's department. The state fire marshal will be here tonight and tomorrow morning to do that assessment. We have someone in-house now, and GOSEP's in-house too, so we feel good about what's going to happen real soon here for our citizens.
When you say 10 rescued, were they trapped inside structures, or what were the circumstances?
They were trapped inside structures, and there were people who were ill or couldn't move or in a wheelchair. We had to get out of the home. But I don't have all of those specifics, but we'll have those for you pretty soon.
Any need for a shelter to open tonight?
No, sir, not at this time.
For those people without power, do you have an ETA on when that power will be restored?
Do we have any? Yeah, we don't have that information right now, but I can tell you this, it's going to be sooner than what people think. That's usually how Entergy works, so I'm figuring in a couple of hours we'll be up and running.
God, how relieved are you that we're not looking at a situation like we had last year?
Very relieved. But remember, Rob, we have people that are in distress right now as we're sitting in here speaking, right? So for them, it's bad. And we know that. And I know we're out there in the streets right now. We're going to take care of their problems. And we have people throughout the state right now that are more devastated than we are. We're grateful for life. We didn't lose any life in this one. But I can tell you, we're going to treat this just like we treated the last one. And if people have needs, we're going to make sure that we respond.
Kind of area that this storm path seemed to be, the tornado path seemed similar to the last time. Did that help your crews, in clearing debris and, getting to people more quickly because you had been there and done that before?
Well, the real-time information that you guys give the citizens, it saved lives last tornado. This one, I don't know if it saved lives, but it saved lives. No matter what the circumstance is, people knew. The sheriff and I were out there on the highway, knew it was coming, talking to people. They were sending us pictures of where it was. So people can prepare, right? So our crews were doing the same thing. If you were listening to the radio here in St. Bernard Parish, our crews were setting up. They knew where it was when it crossed the river. They knew where it was when it crossed St. Bernard Highway. They knew where it was when it crossed Judge Perez. So, our guys were right there on the spot. But I don't know if it made it easier. I guess we're getting used to this, and it's a sad thing, but we're getting used to it. And I guess this is Tornado Alley now. I don't know.
But with that, what you did said, Mike, is the reality of it is the information that we do get from our local news and our local weather people, it was tremendous. They've been telling us for 2 days that we're going to have a bad weather event, right? So I know the sheriff's office and the fire department was prepared for that. And as the day played out today, they were able to narrow it down to a possible tornado that's going to cross the river and it's going to hit Arabi, Louisiana at 4:06. At 4:06, and at 4:06, we saw the first transformer blow. That technology and the information that y'all pushed out, y'all been pushing out all day, allowed us to set up for a quicker response. And to the point where me and the parish president was together at 4:06 when it's in Arabi, Louisiana, when this thing came through. So, it's working together. We have a good plan. Unfortunately, we're getting too good at these things because they happen so frequent. And one of the things that we kind of looked about, this is a year that we got through St. Bernard there without a hurricane, but yet we had 2 tornadoes strike the same areas. It's absolutely amazing to me.
And look, the relationships that we have built over time because of that, in this building tonight, we have all we need to make sure we have resources for our citizens, and that's important. Our state rep is here. Our GOSEP rep is here. The governor's on the phone. Senators on the phone. And that's going to make just like last time, it's going to make an easy transition to getting back and ready to go for our citizens, especially during the holiday season.
Did either of you see it?
Yeah, we saw it.
Describe it for me, Jimmy.
Well, we staged at St. Bernard Highway in Center Street, and we saw it, the first transformer blow, but it was headed our way. So I was the driver tonight. So I said, listen, we're going to go back, east. And as we was heading east, somebody came over the radio and said it looked like it was heading towards Jean Lafitte, the same direction we was going. So we turned around and came back in the opposite direction. But you can watch this thing, and we have a couple of my guys who have actually, pictures of it coming across, and it seemed pretty big at the time. But as you watch these transformers blow, and I'm getting real-time information from the sheriff's deputy saying it crossed right here. I just saw it cross by the hospital and by the hotel right there. You just have real-time information, so it's scary, and because you don't know until you get out in the field to see the impact, so you start receiving 911 calls. But the president was on the phone with one of his employees when it hit, and that was in the 200 block of Friscoville, and that's where we went first. And sure enough, man, people was devastated. I remember there was a lady carrying a baby out of a house, and the shock and the concern, the looks on their face, and it had to be a scary event for them as well, being inside of a house when the roof's coming off or the porch is collapsed on your house. So.
But I understand that employee is a high-ranking employee who was instrumental in helping people on his block.
Ronnie Alonso, our CAO, that's who called. He said, we've been hit. I said, what do you mean, we've been hit? He goes, no, we've been hit. So it's one of those things. And across the street was those two people, I believe you're referring to, that he helped get out of that home.
And that's another amazing thing about, I'm sure it happens everywhere, but it just seems like it happens here in St. Bernard Parish. Just as soon as those people realized they were okay, they immediately turned to go help their neighbors. And we saw a lot of that. Months ago when the tornado hit, we saw it again tonight, man. As once they say, hey, I'm okay, let me go help my neighbor, there was a lot of that stuff going on.
I told the sheriff to keep going. He turned around, he says he saved my life tonight.
I think I did, guys.
I think you did, Sheriff. I think you did. And it's scary.
Sheriff, a quick word if you don't mind. Your people were mobilized all over the place. They were going house to house almost immediately after it passed. We were talking, and we had stop signs out at intersections that didn't have any power or working traffic lights. Talk to me, if you would, about just the manpower and how your department mobilized.
Yeah, we prepared for these events. We know if we're going to have, there's several things that could have happened. They were calling for a lot of rain, possibly a lot of street flooding. So we have barricades, we have stop signs, we have all those things ready. And then, of course, the high risk of tornadoes today, we know the likelihood of power will be out. So we make sure we get extra manpower out. We have people who can mobilize those stop signs. And there's people, supervisors on the radio telling them, we need to put stop signs at this intersection, the lights out that intersection. So it's just preparation, and when you do these things so much, you just make sure you're prepared for it. And then, listen, we have a wonderful sheriff's office down here. I wish I can take all the credit for it, but these guys know what they're doing. They're well trained and they're well equipped, and the willingness to come out and work. You don't have to ask the dispatch, look, and you start notifying your deputies and ask them to come out. They're already listening to the radio. They're already listening and watching their alerts come over their phones. And they gearing up and they coming here. We knew this would be our staging area. We knew this was going to be our command center. We knew that another location would be the staging area. And they respond to those spots immediately, and they wait to get their assignments from our supervisors, and it works well. But and I think it happens a lot of places like that. But unfortunately, that's the business we're in. The good news is that we're well prepared, well trained, and well equipped to respond to these type of incidents.
All right, you're listening live, to
Yeah.
St. Bernard Parish.